I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Kim Doyal. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm fabulous. Life is good.
Oh, that's great. It's great to hear. Tell our amazing audience, what part of the world are you in right now?
I'm in Northern California, the Bay Area, about an hour east of San Francisco. It is gray and fall-like today, which is okay because it means it's not 100 degrees, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it's amazing when you ask the weather questions, the responses you get. Believe me, it's amazing. People just east of you are complaining though, right? It's so cold.
I know. Well, and you know what? Californians are kind of wimpy, right? Because it's like 60 degrees and people are like in boots and jackets and scarves and, and to people in, certain parts of Canada, the East Coast, they're like, that's shorts weather for us.
It's definitely amazing. All right, my friend, you are going to be a lot of fun. I think so. Yes, you are. Yes, Kim Doyal is a lot of fun.
Well, thanks. I'm going to try.
Yes, I do know that. Listen to the podcast without letting the cat out of the bag. Which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
I would say my content, and it sounds like it was my podcast.
Yay! And I got to listen to one of the podcasts that was just you updating your audience, right, as to what was going on. So I definitely got the full blow of who you are in that conversation, at least.
Yeah, the solo shows, I don't know. It's like I joke around that I prefer being the star over the producer. So I do like to have those one-on-one conversations. I feel like it really drives the connection.
Yeah. Now, the name of your podcast is called the WordPress Chick. Right? So I was there listening and I was like, okay, let me get some WordPress tips. And then I realized, no, but she's the star, right? She isn't talking about WordPress.
Yeah, it's unless I have a WordPress guest on, it's much more life, marketing, business, and it will be, I don't know when, by the time this goes live, I'm going to be just transitioning into the Kim Doyal show.
Sounds great. Yeah, I think you could definitely pull that off. I know you can pull that off. So who did you learn that skill from, that skill of having self-confidence?
You know what's funny? It really angled the podcast started because I needed to have more fun. And there was a time where I was a speech major in college. So I've always had this drive to inspire. And I would say so the skill and the ability came from way back when. Like I was a speech major in college and I got into listening to books on tape. Like we're going way back. We're talking cassette tapes, right? So I used to listen to a lot of business motivational speakers and stuff. And I love the fact that I felt inspired from what they were saying. So I sort of had this drive and, really, like I've always wanted to do speaking, but I started the podcast because I wanted to have more fun. And it actually gave me more confidence in my business and everything else I was doing because of the relationships and the connections that came from that.
Yeah, pretty amazing stuff, right? The value of speaking on a podcast as well. How has it affected your life?
Oh my gosh, the relationships by far are it's like I always say that there are some tangible things that have come from the podcast in terms of, clients and coaching clients or sponsorships. So there's these tangible things that have come from it. But on the flip side of that, it's priceless, the relationships and friendships and the connections that have come from this.
Why will you continue?
Because it's fun, really. I mean, it's such an innate part of who I am. It's interesting. I was doing this. I'm trying to test doing more video, right? And so I was doing this video in the car. I haven't produced it yet because the thing that was holding my phone fell when I was doing the video. But the whole story was I was coming from this place of when I first became a podcaster, and I gave a speech at my high school graduation. So it goes back that far, actually. And that was really when I first because I felt the connection that podcasting and I'm podcasting, excuse me. I felt the connection that speaking has and the ability to inspire, so I'm going to keep doing it because it feels good. It is, it is one of those sort of sweet spots, like doing this today. This is super fun to me. Like, I can't believe I get to do this as part of my business.
Well, tell us where's the best place to connect with you, Kim, please.
The best place, and again, it's either the WordPress Chick, the wpchick.com or kimdoyal.com, depending on when this goes live. Yeah. One maybe the Kim Doyal one is the direction I'm going in.
Yeah. Are you going live from Jan 2018?
Yeah. That's the plan.
Yeah, you'll be great. All right. Well, tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Outside of the podcast, it's showing up really. And, I love content and I like producing content. And what I've done is I've gone backwards in a sense that I've committed to mastering fundamentals. I've committed myself to getting better at email marketing, getting better at copywriting. I'm in this is total Gary Vee, but it's the marathon, it's the long game. And so for the last 3 years, I've really been studying this fundamental, core direct response marketing principles. And so I would say I've been consistent in studying it, understanding it, but then implementing it. And then I stick with it. Like, I've been doing a daily email. That's been about 1.5 years.
Wow.
And I've had times where I start and stop, but it's, the thing with implementing and taking action is that instills more confidence than anything else you can imagine. I'm all about mindset and mentors and coaching, but when you start taking action and you establish credibility within yourself, right? As opposed to, okay, I studied this or I heard this, now I'm going to implement this strategy, and then it does or doesn't work and you go on to the next thing. But when you show up, it's that compound effect, which is a book by Scott Hardy, the compound effect. It's that small, consistent action over and over and over and over again that all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm pretty good at this.
When you think of Scott Hardy's book, right, what's the first image that pops in your mind from reading that book? Oh,
gosh, the first image would probably be, I think of compound interest, because it's this small little piece of action, right? And I read the book a while ago, but the concept, again, it's these small, consistent actions. And you know what it did for me too, is then I thought, okay, because like the daily email as an example, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, that's too much. I was committed. Nothing happened for the first month, right? And this is a list and an audience I'd already established, but I was committed to getting better at the craft of it. And I get responses all the time to my emails, even those vulnerable, raw ones. But really it's that compound where all of a sudden it just starts compounding and you go, oh, wow, I tripled affiliate sales for this product because I've been emailing in 2 months, right? So it's little things like that. But then I started saying, where else could I apply this to my life, to my health, to my sleep, to my meditation, whatever it is, you just go small, consistent action, small, consistent action.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, the image that comes to my mind is when he speaks about his father just lifting the weight and the pounding effect, whether it's Saturday morning or not, the bang when he's dropping the weight. Do you remember that story he shared? Yeah?
I don't. I don't. Vaguely.
Okay, it's cool. Why did you put her in the spot, Angel? Because it's all good.
So I totally botched your name, Angel. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. You're good. You're good. Yeah. Didn't you hear when I said Kaim? Didn't you hear that? I said Kaim. No, I'm joking. All right, Kim, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me, Kim, invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful warm blue Caribbean water. Kim, what is your earliest childhood memory?
This is a fun one, and it's timely that we're doing this going, wrapping up November. The earliest childhood memory I have is I think I was 4 years old. And sorry, I think that's part of the questioning here, but I was about 4 years old and my parents let me sleep out on the sofa on Christmas Eve. And because they knew I would fall asleep. I was little and I had a pretty good set schedule, right? And so I remember, and I could see the Christmas tree. I could see everything. And so I go to sleep, they go to bed or whatever. And then I wake up and it's probably, I don't know, it's 3 or 4 in the morning. And everything like Santa, it looked like Santa had come. It was like magic, because as a little kid, I felt like I'd closed my eyes and then I opened them and everything was there and I hadn't heard a sound, right? Wow. And I got this little a baby doll, like a stroller, like a buggy, and I went running down the hall to my parents like, oh my God, Santa was here. And they were like, go back to bed, because they had just gotten to sleep, right? But I was like, oh my God, Santa was here. And it was just it gives me goosebumps to tell the story, because it was like magic. It was wonderful.
Wow. Why do you think this memory of all your memories are that all around that time is so clear?
I think because my parents they're amazing. I adore them. And they did such a good job of those types of magical moments. I've got a lot from that point forward. But whether it was family vacations or birthdays or holidays, they did little things that really instill that sense of wonder and pure joy that children, when they're present, really can experience. And so that was it was just pure joy. And so I think that's why it stands out. So, I mean, joy is a strong feeling.
It is. And I think it has definitely streamed true in your life. Like, you can just hear the joy in our conversation just from you. Like, I'm willing to listen. Like, when is the next podcast going to be live? Because I'm just, you hear the joy, and I think even as well, if I can offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind, I would say that it's so important. I think the one thing you left out when you were describing what happens when you start taking action is the joy that it creates. And when you build a brand on joy, it definitely has a longer shelf life.
I totally agree. It's because there is that connection, and the taking action reminds me of what we were talking about earlier with the intangible results of the podcast, right? So it's that stuff that you can't see right away, but it just starts happening sort of behind the scenes, and what it does for who you are and how you move through the world. You can't put a price tag on it.
Yeah. And let's just imagine the action your parents had to take in that small bubble of time to make what occurred be what it was to you, right? And again, it's the intangible, right? Well, I guess
it's absolutely
I mean, probably Santa did pass by as well, right? And even if it was Santa, like, could you imagine the work he did?
You don't want to know how long I've already been watching Christmas movies, and we're recording this. No,
Yeah.
It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
The joy. I love the joy. So if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
I totally had to cheat and look this up because it's been a while. It was Eye of the Tiger. What does that tell you?
Yeah, definitely the joy. I could see you going up those steps. Rocky.
That's right. I've been a fighter my whole life.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, Kim, hey, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to go pretty quickly here, like Rocky round 1, right? Kim, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Not by default, no.
Are you married?
Widowed.
Do you have children?
I do.
How many?
I have 2, a son and a daughter.
Do you believe in God?
Absolutely.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Hell yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes. I'm more of a binge watcher. I'm not a daily watcher. I check out with TV once in a while.
And what about screen time? The phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Oh, it's definitely more than 8.
Okay, Kim, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Kim Doyal, what would you say that is?
Just show up.
Love it. Kim, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Go be you. Everybody else is taken. I know it's trite, but do you. It's the only differentiating factor around.
Love it. Kim Doyal, thank you, my friend, for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.